What's going on, everyone? I'm Encore. This is Tomorrow Never Comes. And today I wanted to cover 4 key points that I got from a beautiful interview done between London Real and Brian Rose and Giancarlo, who is a former commissioner of the CFTC, which is the U.S. Commodities Futures Trading Commission. I think I said that right. You know, all these acronyms. But big regulatory body in the United States. Has to do with commodities, obviously. And so what I loved about this interview was, one, someone of this caliber with this pedigree and these credentials, because he is also a lawyer, made the transition from our current finance, our broken system of financing, the legacy system, into crypto. He actually has a handle named CryptoDad, for reasons we'll get into. But his ability to transition just from his resume alone adds weight to it. But 2, and more importantly, why I really enjoyed this, was because he broke down in such a simple manner as to why you should be into crypto. And reason being, reason why I enjoy this so much is because I get a lot of questions, I get a lot of snide remarks, or just ignorance, and that's okay, from those who, you know, people around me I've grown up with, who all they know is the traditional system. Whether they're accountants, whether they're, into the finances of some degree in the banks, whatever the case is, when they're entrenched in that system, it's very hard to see outside of that. And so, there's certain things that they just don't understand because they don't take the time to research. So someone of this magnitude who comes in and says, look, I was the epitome of our system, right? I was a commissioner of a regulatory body in the United States. It doesn't get more official and more embedded in the legacy finance than him. And so for him, just the act of doing that, I think, speaks volumes. So, if you go to London Real TV, I'm going to point here with my pointer here. Here's right there, Giancarlo, and it's called The Fight for Future of Money. CryptoDad talks blockchain innovation. All right, and I'm going to close this out here. Okay, and so the reason why I closed all of that is I actually created a 20-minute, 21-minute video going through the interview, and lo and behold, I couldn't post it because of copyright. So that was terrible. Trust me, it was great. You're gonna have to trust me on that one. It was a great one. So I just wanted to kind of dive in quick and jump into it. And I will say, I always find it funny that any YouTubers or anyone out there who speaks for almost 3 minutes now, after a certain while says, let's dive right into it. It's kind of funny, right? You should do that in the beginning. Having said all that, so 4 points that I really took away from that. So one is, Giancarlo became the commissioner in 2017. He was there for several years, I think, maybe 3 or 4 years or so. But he kind of said this in passing. What was amazing was that him and the commission, or the commission was actually talking or knew about and developing plans around Bitcoin in 2015. So why is that relevant? Reason being is because no matter what you hear, what headlines are and what people are saying or what governments are saying, they have known about Bitcoin and crypto for some time. And, they develop strategies, they do certain things, maybe but they're behind the 8 ball. But this isn't something that sprung out of, nowhere for a lot of governments, for a lot of people in the know. So what do they say? They always say, follow what people are doing, not what they're saying. Same thing goes here, right? You wouldn't expect, again, this type of committee or commission to be talking about Bitcoin at that stage, 2015. And he was doing that, and those around him were doing that at that time. So it's very interesting to see and hear, things that we're not privy to on a daily basis. Okay, so that's one point that I had. But going into the second point was really how he got his name, CryptoDad. And that's really his kids were talking to him about crypto. And he started to actually listen. And reason being was because of the enthusiasm his children had for crypto. And that was kind of his light bulb moment. No matter what spreadsheet you put together, no matter what report you put together, no matter what numbers you crunch, what is always missing is the enthusiasm the enthusiasm by the new generation. And you can't put that. That's like an intangible. and that's very hard to amass with reports and other, very, very, very mathematical data. You can't add that to any report, so it's always missing for the older generation. And so he started to listen. And why was he listening? Well, I mean, kids are already used to social media accounts. They're already used to mobile phones. They're already used to gaming, where they earn and they trade assets within the game, and even tokens within the game, all before they ever hit a bank or like a physical bank. They're used to online shopping. So all these things kids are used to, the newer generations are used to, and so crypto is just an extension of that for them. It's normal. And to me, that actually spoke volumes because, and he mentioned this, that, where we are today, like where kids are today, or the new generation. I keep saying kids, but they're adults as well, in their 20s as well. Just the new generation, they may be like on the conveyor belt of life. They may be a little behind, right? They're up and coming. But the thing is their time is coming. And so we want to look towards their future and not what we're used to. And everyone needs to wrap their heads around that. If you're watching this and you kind of had a roadblock, well, I don't really see how this is going to work. And I've heard that plenty with those around me. But we're all viewing the lens of the future through what we know now. And we kind of have to look beyond our generation into the new generation. What are they used to? What's comfortable for them? Jumping in a game and conversing with others and trading assets, that may be foreign to you and I. But that's commonplace for them, right? Just like online shopping would have been foreign for, our parents, definitely grandparents, and now it's commonplace for us. So all these things, we kind of have to view it through that lens. Okay, so I found that very, very interesting that he would say that, and that also, just, I can't remember what author he was talking about. There was some author that I'm not familiar with, but literally when, in a certain era, if there's something innovative that comes through, if you are less than 35, you tend to look at that innovation with enthusiasm. And then if you're over 35, you tend to look at the same innovation with suspicion, and you kind of like, yeah, it's probably a scam. And that's the first I heard of it. But that's pretty accurate. And maybe you test it out, right? See who's for or against crypto and what the age group is. I think that's very interesting. And so what ends up happening is we just hammer down on enthusiasm, and snide remarks are made. We dismiss the new generation. If any of you have kids, what ends up happening is you make these comments that you don't really know what you're talking about. You're young. What do you know of the world? And we paint everything with our jaded opinion, right? As we get older, we get a little bit more jaded, and that youthful enthusiasm is missing. And so when we do that to the younger generation, they dismiss us in return. And so the fight becomes even worse. And at the end of the day, I mean, reality is reality, and innovation always takes over what's existing. And so we kind of have to keep that in place. Okay, so third point was the banking system. So the way, and I'm going to put the link in the description because you guys really need to check out how he says everything. It's beautiful how he says it. It's so simple. But the banking system is set up to tell us what we are worth. Right? They're going to say, well, this is how much your value is. They're going to say, this is when you can take your money out, how much you have access to. And we can only do between 9 and 4:30, Monday to Friday. That's it. And that's a horrible system. What if you want to do a transaction on a Saturday? What if you want to do it on a Friday night? Tuesday, 5 a.m. We have to wait for things to settle. If you want to send a wire somewhere, right? We're taking time. If you want your check to settle, to clear, it takes time. Right? But meanwhile, you can send a text instantly. You can do a Zoom call instantly. So all this technology is there, but our banking system's, just a dinosaur. And so the younger generation coming up, where everything is instant, you think they're going to be okay with this type of banking system? No. And so then, that's what crypto offers them. Also, you don't need permission. You don't have any intermediaries in there to tell you, yes, you can, no, you can't, you're not smart enough. And if you are smart enough to do this transaction, I'm going to take a piece of it. That doesn't exist, right? It's borderless, it's censorless, permissionless. Do as you please. And also the risk then is on you. So you're accountable. So all these things, that's a really big point in there that I want everyone to take home. And fourthly, he mentioned something that I actually never heard of it this way in terms of economic liberty and how economic liberty actually drives all of the other liberties that we may have, right? Like freedom of speech, the freedom to assembly, the freedom to religion, like all of those things we can only express if we have economic freedom. So like, what does that mean? Well, you can only support your religion. Not, I won't say only, but one of the biggest ways to support is through, donations or some sort of financial support, right? Freedom of speech. If you want to put an ad out, you want to do something where people are drawn to you in terms of the attention. I mean, even YouTube, if you look at here, yes, things are free. You can anyone can create a channel, but if you want more exposure, what do you have to do? YouTube ads. If you run a business, an online business, what do you have to do? You need if it's Amazon, you need some kind of, PPC ads. Same with Google ads. Like, all this stuff costs money. And so in order to do this stuff, if we don't have the economic freedom, then the other freedoms don't matter. So freedom of speech is great. But in this world where we live in today, if you are against the current system and you want to speak, they freeze your account. Right? They'll close your account. They'll return any donations, as we've seen with the Canadian truckers. They'll just shut it down. So that's not economic liberty. And if you don't have that economy there, the freedom to move money, to move finances or financial assets at will, then that whole movement slows down or dissipates entirely. So I found that was very interesting, the way that he talked about it. And there's a lot. I mean, it's about an hour and a half video. So many things he said in it, and I've watched, hundreds of hours of these interviews. I've seen a ton of people being interviewed, but no one's explained it the way he has. So I would encourage all of you, please go watch this. It makes life so simple. Forget about all the technology, like diving deep into the weeds of the tech. Forget about all this rah freedom movement and all that. Forget about all that. If you are the person who says, look, I've heard about crypto, I don't know what it is, I'm not comfortable jumping in until I have some more information, literally this is the video to watch. It makes things simple, super clean, super easy to wrap your head around. Alright, so guys, I hope you found this video valuable. Please watch the video in the description. Okay? Share, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all of that. Just remember, tomorrow never comes. Please watch the video today if possible. Okay? Alright guys, I'll see you in the next one.